As many of you may know, each year I coordinate providing Thanksgiving dinner for all the fire stations here in the villages. This year is no exception. This year, however, we're going to be doing a fundraiser on October 14th. The location is still being finalized, but the date is set. If you're interested in helping out with the fundraising event or with being a coordinator for one of the fire stations, please go to my website, goldwingnut.com/Thanksgiving, and fill out the form there, or send me a quick email to thanksgiving@goldwingnut.com. Let's make this the best Thanksgiving ever for our firefighters. Hello everyone, it's Don once again, and welcome to the show. I got all kinds of background noise coming up on my headphones. Anyway, so good news this week. Loki has found a home. Dave and Marie, down in the village of Dabney, are taking him. And right after the show, I take him down to their house, and we're going to be dropping him off, and he will have a new home starting immediately. We're excited. We're sad, of course, because we're going to miss the little guy. He's grown on us very quickly. So that's a good thing. Aloha from Michigan. Well, hello, Frank. And hello, Rich. Good to hear from you. So we got 38 people on so far, and it's growing quickly. All right, outstanding. So let's talk about 148. Wow, what a nightmare that turned into. Murphy came to visit, and anything that could possibly go wrong did go wrong with that video. And it really came to a head earlier this week when my computer crashed. Couldn't figure out what the heck. Crashed, and it was repeatedly crashing. In the morning, I'd turn it on, it'd run good for about 20 minutes, and then it would start crashing. It went all day like this. So I tried to fix it. Nah, nothing like that. So I said, okay, we'll yank it out, and we'll do some internal work. Well, let me tell you a little story. When golden retrievers have puppies, they go through huge hormone changes. And when those puppies go home and they stop producing milk, the females go through a huge hormone change once again. And that's what happened to Lily. Part of that hormone change is they tend to lose a lot of their fur, their hair. And yes, that's basically the cause of all my headaches for the last week. It has been crazy sweeping up dog hair around the house. What I didn't take into account was the 4 fans that suck air into the computer and the 5 that exhaust it. We're going to suck up some of that hair. Plugged all the inlets. The computer was overheating. It's amazing. I took it all apart, cleaned all the fans, cleaned all the vents. Everything is good, and now it runs just fine. When it gets hot, it gets hot. That's all there is to it. Let's see. Which is Magic the Mastiff says, great construction video 148. Yeah, Loki, I'll see you at the dog park in 2026 in the villages. Yes, he will. He had a trip to the dog park, and he was just phenomenal. But anyway, computer's fixed. Everything is working now. I thought, well, okay, we can just move over to the laptop and use it because I have the same editing software on my Windows laptop. No. Could not stay up long enough to copy all the files onto a USB drive so that I could edit it on the other one. And of course, I couldn't edit it on the Windows machine because even though I have the same software, Cyberlink Power Director, the file formats aren't compatible. Talk about absolutely stupid. I can move a Word file from any platform I want, and it works just fine. But my video editing, oh, no. It comes up and says, hey, it's broken. Hang on just a second here. I got to turn the monitoring off on the main microphone. That's better. Now it won't echo in my headphones. Anyway, this past Tuesday, I went to the Emac meeting, and there were 3 people there besides the staff and the board members. 2 residents, myself and another gentleman, and one of the contractors. So let's talk about what Emac is first off. Emac is the Eastport Maintenance Advisory Committee. All of the districts that are part of it contribute to Emac. So that would be District 14, 15, and the Eastport Community Development District. Together, Emac does most of the heavy lifting for maintenance in the CDDs. It's the same idea as Project-Wide Advisory Committee that handles the area from District 5 through District 12. District 5 through District 13. That's why you're going to see a big chunk of your CDD 14 or CDD 15 funds go to Emac, because they're handling all the big things, the grass cutting, the landscaping contracts, maintenance on the retention ponds and all this, because they get big contracts. And that way, we can save some money, like going to Costco. We'll get to Costco in just a minute because I got a question about Costco. But some people don't understand the whole concept. Prime example is some of the leadership in District 7. They always complain about, well, most of our money goes over to PWAC. Well, yes, because PWAC is doing most of the work. And if you want to take away that work, you can do it yourself, but it's going to cost you more, and it's going to cost your residents more. So be it. But yeah, so they had their meeting on this past Tuesday. This coming week, CDD 14 and 15 will be having their meetings, and they will be talking about their annual budget. There was a lot of confusion about what I was talking about. Both meetings are very important for us as residents. When we look at the area from District 13 through 5, PWAC does most of the main work is handled through PWAC, and it's a very important position for the supervisors that are serving on that, in addition to serving on their CDD boards. But please go to your CDD board meetings. 14 and 15 are coming up. Most of the other CDDs have already had their meetings. 14 and 15 will have theirs over at Everglades. Go to districtgov.org to see the exact time and date. I have that in my phone, but I'm not going to go digging for it right now. But I should be there, unless my wife has other plans for me. We all know how that goes. All right, so it looks like we got a couple of questions. Let's see, Mark says, when will the bottleneck where eastbound 470 meets Marsh Bend Trail near Fire Station 48 be realigned? So that's an interesting question. I asked the county administrator that a few months ago before I had to step down from my position, but I'll be stepping back up come the 18th of November, or the 19th of November. What he told me kind of has me confused. He said that eventually will be closed off, and there won't be any way to take that shortcut. You're going to have to go down Central Parkway through the Middleton area. So that eventually is going to go away. But if it doesn't, they're not going to realign it. It's always going to stay like that. Let's see. Scott wants to know, curious why they would build a new Wendy's next to Panda Express when there is one 2 miles east on 466A. That's a good question. You're right, there is one there. And, I got to go back and check, but I could have sworn that's what they said. I could have made a mistake. that's happened once or twice. But let me go back and check on that one, Scott. It's a good question, though. Walter S. says, Don, looking at a home on Okahumpka Run, but looks like it's right under the power line towers. Have you heard any issues with homes under these lines, like noise at night from those lines? Thanks. Walter, you know, this is one area why I try not to get involved. It's not my place to say, you know, what's better and what's worse on a home for location. Personally, I would not own one near the power lines. Just that's personal opinion, personal preference. You know, I can tell you that I've played golf up at Okahumpka Executive Course and at what's the other one? Escambia. And when you stand under the power lines there, you can hear the humming, and when the humidity is up, you can hear some crackling. So you know, there is that possibility, but you know, you would. I don't know. Yeah. Again, for me, that's not someplace I would live. I worked with electricity most of my working career, both in a nuclear power plant and in construction. Stuff scares the heck out of me. You know, so I would. I'm going to stay away from it. Let's see. Jerry asked, Don, appreciate your wisdom. Does the 1 year new home warranty become void if upgrades are made, sinks, kitchen counters, after the initial purchase? I don't know. I certainly hope not, because in my rental home that I've done, I've added crown molding, I've painted. So we've done a lot of things. I certainly hope it doesn't. Let's see. St. Nowhere says, looks like the asphalt area in front of Saint-Tropez is being fenced for tennis pickleball, not RC cars. You need to watch the video that the villagers put out last week. When they started selling the well point areas, they said it was going to be for radio-controlled cars. You know, could be wrong, but I doubt it. Let's see. Muskie wants to know if any and other villages are losing the live person gate guards from midnight to 6 a.m. to save money. Is this done? Is this a done deal, or is something citizens can do? You know, I don't know. You would have to talk to your district supervisor and district management. But I would say probably, since budget season is upon us and they're getting ready to approve the final budgets, they're planning on the cutbacks. So it's probably a done deal. Let's see. Scott says, I live in Bradford and the power lines on Morse are right behind my home. We never hear from them. Okay, that's good. You know what? DD Aerial Photography says KFC is going next to Panda. I believe you are right. I don't know why I said Wendy's, but yeah, I believe it is KFC that's going there. Mark has just bought in the village of McClure. Good location. I don't know of a bad location per se in the villages. It's just what you want to be close to. Let's see. Tina says, thanks for doing these. John here. You mentioned ground prep drilling around Shady Brook in your last video. What do they do for the water depressions in lots? Do they find and remediate sinkholes? So finding a sinkhole is not something that generally happens. You know, I don't know if they drill, how deep they drill down, but what they're looking for there is organic material. Things like, oh, okay, there was a big swamp here, and now there's a bunch of moss, peat moss that's collected there, or maybe a grove of trees was fallen, 50 years ago and it's gotten covered over. They're looking for that kind of stuff. Obviously, if they do find a ground depression, a sinkhole, they're going to probably reevaluate what's going to be built there and get away from it. Yeah, I don't know of any sinkholes. I mean, remediation of a sinkhole is a big deal. You could be talking, tons and tons of grout concrete having to be dumped in there, and even then, there's no guarantee that's going to be great. Daniel wants to know, will the villages add a gated area off County Road 470 and Chandler Drive? County Road 470 and Chandler. So Chandler is not, it has a gate already at the end at 470. What's going south of 470, I'm not sure yet, but they obviously, most of the area is gated off. It's not a gated community, but it does deter a lot of traffic and keeps an honest man honest. Muskie wants to know, Mark, McClure is quick at Brownwood, Sawgrass, and upcoming Eastport, walking distance to Magnolia and Everglades. Yep. Mark says, cell phone reception in Moultrie Creek is poor. We use AT&T, but other carriers don't seem to be better. Demand on the system will continue to increase. Any news on new cell phone towers? No, I haven't heard anything. Talk to your cell phone company, Mark. Okay, Tina says, well, we're considering a new water view in the Shady Brook area, but I'm scared of gators. Where are they? How often do they get out of the water? And what do you do? This is Florida. If there's water, there's going to be gators. In my rental property, there is at least one gator in that retention pond already. My neighbors have seen it. If you got a little dog, keep it away. If you got a big dog, keep it away. If you got a cat, let it run. It's a good snack. No, I'm I'm joking, really. I got nothing against cats. We used to have a cat, but no. Sorry, that was really poor on my part. I shouldn't have said that. No, I love cats. I love dogs. But don't go near them. They can run 30 miles an hour across ground. So it's not something you want to mess with. Yeah, I personally, I don't like gators either. I don't like anything that crawls on its belly and has teeth. Just not my idea of a friend that I want to mess around with. Whew. So I do have a hard stop today at 4:30. We're only going to go an hour. The reason is I've got to get Loki down to Lake Dabney to his new home. I told him I'd be there at 5, and then we have Samba at 6:30, and someplace in between there, I've got to barbecue some sausages on the grill. Mark says, how big in acres are each of the town centers, including town squares, districts, Spanish Springs? I don't know how big they are. I could find out. Anybody could find out. The easiest way is to go to their website. I think Lake Sumter Landing, I believe, is around 40 acres. Eastport is going to be huge because the retention pond there, the Central Lake, and the walking path around it are all a part of it. So that'll be interesting to see how that gets done. Muskie says, gators are great. Hey, and they taste good. They taste like chicken. Uh, sorry, I'm must be getting hungry. All I do is keep thinking about eating. So, East Coaster says, let the gators have the cats. Let's see. All right. Frank says, gate safety, losing the eyes and ears from midnight till 6 a.m. Who will be watching homes? I agree with the tower lines, power companies have lost whole crews and in substations. Yeah, so Community Watch still does the roving. They make a minimum of, I think it's 3 trips a shift, or is it 3 trips a day through every street. There's a lot of time and effort put with Community Watch driving around. The other night I went to the Villagers High School football game on Friday night. And it's been a long time since I've enjoyed Friday Night Lights. And it was great watching the kids play. Someplace in the third quarter, it started to rain. So I said, yeah, let's go over to the new house and do some cleaning. Went over to the new house. We're hopefully getting ready to do something with it. I'm not sure what yet. But anyway, when I left, I don't remember shutting the garage door. So I ended up, I realized this when I got back to the Village of Hillsborough. I called Community Watch. I said, could you go over and check? And about an hour later, they called back and said, yeah, the garage door was closed. So that was a good thing. So Community Watch is still out there, and it's important that they still remain active. Boosters, thanks, opened. So, Diane, you're saying that Boosters is open? Is that what you're telling us? Because I know I drove by there, oh my gosh, a day or two ago, and I saw a bunch of people walking out of Boosters at about noon. I assume they were just going through training. But if they're open, that's great. I got to go over and try their food. Happening in this country. Muskie says, yeah, there are far scarier things happening in this country and the world than a majestic gator. You're right, but I still don't like anything that crawls on the ground and has teeth. Don, any news on Water's Edge? No, nothing yet. It is farther along than the south side of McNeil Drive in Wellpoint. So I think they'll do the north side of McNeil for Wellpoint, and then they'll move back to getting Water's Edge out. But they are in control of their own destiny. All right. Let's see. Got a few things that came up. I'm not seeing much coming across the screen. Thomas asks, when will Costco construction begin? I don't know. I don't see any progress. I don't see much happening on on any of the websites for permitting and that. Jerry says the golf course which parallels McNeil Drive. Is this the Laurel Oaks Golf Course? Yes, that's the Laurel Oak 9, and it should be opening in about 4 weeks. Let's see. Tina says, can you still hang heavy things like mirrors or Murphy beds on prefab concrete walls? How do the installation R factors compare to frame construction? They're pretty comparable as far as the R factor goes, because they do put about an inch of special kind of insulation on the wall. And you can hang heavy things on there. Just be advised that you could run into rebar, because there are rebar both vertically and horizontally in the prefab walls at about 12-inch centers. East Coaster says, You're lucky that squatters didn't move into your home through the open garage door. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, squatters are a problem here. Trying to get them out of your house in Florida is difficult. Let's see. Frank says python snakes eat small gators. Tastes like chicken. Okay. Chris, I don't have any news on Paradise Rec Center. All I know is it's still in the works to be done. Contracting takes a while on a big project like that. So Laurel Oaks will be ran out of Southern Oaks till the building is completed. Yeah, I don't know. I listened to Kenny Azell the other night at the VHA presentation. He said it was going to be open in 4 to 6 weeks. But he didn't say how it was going to be managed or run. So it'll be interesting, though. It'll be nice to have another golf course open. Hopefully, it's far enough away from the turnpike that if I play, I won't hit a car. That's not something I'd take bets on. Let's see. Bill says, hi, Don. Great job always keeping up the videos and channel, keeping informed what's going on. What is your thoughts about the Villages Rec Center and the pools keeping outside folks from getting in? So the rec centers are pretty easy from keeping non-Villages residents from getting in because pretty much they always check your ID when you're going in, especially when there's events. Pools, I don't think it's as big an issue as some people make it out. Yes, there have been instances, and it is very annoying. But keeping people out, I will tell you, most of the pools and that are so far away from where the general public or the non-Villages public would be that I don't think most people even know they're there or would get lost trying to find them. Same thing with many of the rec centers. Some of them are way off the beaten path. I mean, like, what am I thinking? Like Fishhawk. I mean, that's out in Buttonwood. That's like, wow. Get your breadcrumbs out because some of these areas are pretty challenging to find. Anyway, let's see. This is a good one. Mark Edwards asked, why are residents/renters not fined for putting out garbage on non-pickup days? There is no method of enforcement is the problem. The community development districts under Chapter 190 of the Florida statutes have limited powers, and enforcement is not one of them. It's just like parking tickets and things like that. They have no enforcement powers. So it makes it very difficult to do that. It has to fall to either the county or the city, depending on where you're located. Should they be fined? I think so. I know there are many communities, if you have your garbage cans out 24 hours before, 24 hours after your trash pickup, then they do a fine. But I don't think they can do that here in the Villages. Mark also asks, I don't understand how an owner opens a lodging business, Airbnb, but is not licensed or inspected. I don't think Hilton would get away with that. You're right. And you're absolutely right. I don't understand it either. But they have pretty good support in the state legislature for these Airbnb type establishments. Victoria, thank you again. As always, you're always so generous. I appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, we got a couple more coming here. Bill says, do the folks from Middleton have access to the Villages pools and rec centers? No, they do not. They have their own recreation facilities. They do not have access to the pools, the rec centers, or anything else like that. Now, they can use championship courses because those are not amenities. They are privately owned property. Yes, they are owned by the developer. Don't confuse the village as the developer with the village as the community. It is two separate entities. But you can't, because it is a pay service, they can pay and go play on the golf courses. Let's see. Let's see. Kathy says, "Hi, Don. You mentioned in a previous video, if you were getting a new home, you should get the home inspected within 1 week." Yes. Hire a professional inspector to do that. It's worthwhile. Within the first week is when you turn in your builder's warranty. Is it the builders or villages? I don't know. Who's responsible for it at that point in that first week? But in that first week, when you get your house, do the inspections. That's when you're going to want to document things like there's scratches on the cabinets or in the countertops, or there's a gouge in the tile or something like that. Those are important things. Anything that's cosmetic, if you wait for the 1 year point, you gotta look. Okay, they're not going to talk to you about it. Hey, there's a big scratch in my cabinet. Cosmetic, not our problem. There's no way to prove it was there. That's why you get it done during that first week. Tom over at Surf to Turf does a great job. As I said last week, I watched him do an inspection over a friend of mine's house, Jim's house. He spent 3 hours going through this house and found some interesting stuff. Stuff that even I didn't think of looking at. He goes up in the attic. He goes up on the roof. Yeah. I saw him when he came out of the attic, too. Boy, he was just a mess. So sweaty. It was ridiculous. It's so hot up in our attics. Let's see. Chris says, Cordova Pool the other day, in the north section, guards sat there from 10 to 3. They are different as the developer has said they are different as the developer has turned over the area. So they are in charge of managing the pools. I don't understand. Do you know? I'm not the Cordova Pool. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I haven't really stayed plugged into that particular topic. I know it's done. I think it's a family pool because I've seen kids in there. That's something that it's one of those oddities. It's one thing when we start talking about the new sections down south, how that all progresses. All of the pools, the rec centers, everything south of 44 for amenities is actually owned by the developer. But they're operated by the recreation department. And I'm assuming that the Cordova Pool is going to is the same way. Why there was a guard sat there from 10 to 3, that's a different one in my book. I've never heard of something like that. Let's see. Just watch. This is from Bruce. He says, just watched new video. Great job. Saint-Tropez Rec Center. Will there be pickleball? Will there be tennis and pickleball? I heard you say there will be RC car area. It's my understanding, yes, that there will be pickleball. There's always pickleball here in the villages. It's so hugely popular. It's also where we get the most injuries from people is playing pickleball. Doesn't seem like a dangerous sport, but twist an ankle, trip and fall, hurt people face planting themselves. At our age, you gotta watch the physical activity, But of course, I say that, and then, I go watch some of these softball games, and there's 80-year-old guys out there playing softball, and they're crushing the ball. And it's like, wow. I only hope that in 20 years I'm like that. All right. David asks, what is the current and upcoming villages/areas that will have waterfront home sites available? So there were a few in Wellpoint in the northern areas that were just listed last week. There was a few waterfront sites, but those all, just like that, disappeared. There will be some definitely in the southern part, as I mentioned in the last in the video that came out earlier today. There's some along the some of the retention ponds, but there's also part of the Woodlands golf course and the water there that there will be homes coming along there. In Shady Brook and in Water's Edge, there's several large retention ponds and wetlands areas. Those will be waterfront, so they're coming. But just know that they do go very, very quickly. I heard over in Well Point, there was like 50 people on the list for a couple of these home sites that were on the water. And my friend Jim, he was looking for a nice view site. Took him 10 tries to get one that he liked. No, let me rephrase it. Just to get one. So sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes the computer you're not so lucky as it does its random picks. All right. This is a long one. This is from Brad in St. Louis regarding precast concrete homes. I assume if I see concrete block, someone has asked for expanded walls, like paying extra at design time to make their garage wider. Regarding noise, the precast concrete is surely much quieter than stick-built. A few weeks ago, I watched the host of the TVE YouTube channel touring some open home houses in Shady Brook. There were roofers nailing all around, total mayhem. When he went inside the house, you would have never known, dead quiet. For this reason alone, a precast home near the turnpike would be a good investment. Yeah, I would say yes, it would be a good investment near the turnpike. I will tell you that last Friday night, the football game was still going on. The kids were playing in the rain. Sorry. I don't sit out in the rain anymore. Just like I don't ride my motorcycle in the rain. I have a truck. I can take that instead. I'm not stuck on the bike like I used to be when I was a teenager. When I went over to the house, the sliding glass door was closed. I didn't hear a thing. And I stood there and I listened, trying to hear the game. And I couldn't. Then as soon as I cracked open that sliding glass door, I could hear the announcement. So the homes are built pretty well. TVE YouTube channel, I don't know who TVE YouTube channel is. I don't keep up on everybody. Touring the open houses, generally that's been frowned upon by the developer, somebody shooting video inside one of their properties, and then broadcast it. Yeah, anyway. As far as expanded walls, I know that there are some expansions that can be done in the precast. It's just a matter of moving the molds when they're making the walls. After construction, if you're working with a precast, then if your house is precast and you're going to add an extension onto it or an expansion or whatever, yes, you're probably going to be doing cinder block. Personally, I like the look of let's just call it stucco home. There's a stucco coating on the outside, whether it be precast or cinder block. CMU, concrete masonry unit. That's the correct term. I learned that one very quickly in the construction industry. I like the looks of them better than I do the stick and sided. Personal preference. Let's see. We got another comment here. Any advice or help on choosing between Shady Brook Waterview design versus similar layout interior cottage? Would love a designer and a water view, but hesitant on cost. We're only here 4 to 6 months a year. You got to figure out what's important to you. As far as you want a water view. Okay, then if that's important for you, know that you're going to pay extra for it. If you want a golf course view, you're going to pay even more for it. If you want both, open your checkbook. But if that's important to you for those 4 to 6 months a year, then by all means it's worth it. And I will tell you this, that you will get your money back if you ever decide to sell it. View sites traditionally appreciate in value very well, and I don't know anybody who's really ever lost any money on a view site here. So Tina also asked, how does the lottery for homes work? So it's not really a lottery, Tina. Basically, whether it's a spec home or a lot for a custom build, the process is basically the same. You can make 3 choices, and the sales agent puts those into the computer. Your choices 1, 2, and 3. I've seen them running the software. It actually looked quite antiquated by computer standards. It was a terminal window, and it looked like something out of the 90s, like something we had on the ship, on the submarine, in our computer systems in the 90s. But anyway, so your name is put into 3 spots, your choice 1, 2, and 3, and then at the appropriate time the next morning, the computer makes a random pick of the people who have put their name in for each specific location. And that's really all there is to it. It's purely random. Used to be who had the fastest finger when it came that time. When I got the house I'm in right now, this courtyard villa, we were very fortunate, and our realtor's wife, who was his assistant, Roy Roberts, was our realtor. He was a great realtor. Roy Robertson, excuse me. Great realtor, got us the house we wanted, and we were ecstatic. Of course, he put up with us for 2 years as we kept coming back looking before we actually made up our mind. Let's see. Frank says, key card access for pools. Kids jump in the pool, can't be asked. Turnstile access with a key card or a token. So adding a key card access, there are safety issues involved with that. Slowing egress for safety reasons is an issue. But I will tell you, because that is what I specialized in the construction industry, I specialized in card access systems and other aspects of security, CCTV, what have you, for nearly 20 years. You can figure on something like that, 1,000, well, my knowledge is 6 or 7 years out of date, and things have gone up so much it's crazy. But we used to figure between $1,000 and $2,000 per porthole to add a card reader and the necessary controller and electronics to control the entry device, to say nothing of the programming of the card access system. It would be a tremendous expense to add something like that, Frank. It really would. Just like, all right, I'm gonna spill the beans on this. One of the things that was put out a while back was, well, they went to a new card access system. They went to the Secure 9000 system. I'm very familiar with this system, and they said, well, your old cards, if they're cloned, won't work with it. No, You clone a card, you're cloning a number. And, whether it's a 26-bit card, a 34-bit card, whatever it is, you're cloning those bits, you're cloning that number. The system can't tell between a clone and a regular one. If the card returns that number and that number is valid in the database, you're going to get through. So the mirror clone chips that have been put out, they should still work. There's no reason why, because there's no way to differentiate between that and the card they cloned. But I actually had one of the people that was selling them wanted to advertise on my channel. I couldn't do it. I could not. I would not take him as an advertiser, because that is what I did for 20 years, and it didn't feel right copying the credentials, the cards that I had worked so many years to help my customers protect. Richard says, any word on the new Wawa at 466A across from Home Depot? Yes, they started work. If you look in the video that came out this afternoon, you can see where they've started cutting in on the ground for the asphalt, doing the asphalt and curbs and that. John Alexander says, I believe they have the site selection application running on an IBM i-Series platform. I have no idea what an i-Series platform is. I'm assuming it's a mainframe. Stucco less maintenance, steel shingles, look like roof shingles. So, yep. Anyway, where are we at on time? We're getting down there. All right. Let's see. This is from Anthony in Bradford. Now, this was a good one, and I found it interesting. He says, "Hi Don, congratulations on the election and your new house. I do have a question. Would it be safe to say that Marsh Bend Trail below Warm Springs will be heavily traveled? It seems to be the main road that most villagers will use to access Morse and Buena Vista northbound. I also think as areas south get finished, it will increase the traffic on Morse Boulevard, which, as you know, runs along Bradford. I don't think I would hear so much road noise, but unfortunately I do. I didn't think I would hear I would hear so much road noise, but unfortunately I do. Road noise is an interesting topic, because if I sit out on my front porch, I live about almost half a mile north of Eisenhower Rec Center. If I sit out there reading the morning paper with the dogs, I can hear the traffic on the turnpike. I can hear the traffic easily on 44. But yes, you can hear the traffic on the turnpike, and that's like 3 miles away. I got pretty good hearing, though, for now. No hearing aids. Yes, I think Marsh Bend Trail will be heavily traveled. It always has been. But I think some of the traffic is starting to go down Bexley Trail. And it'll still also start going down McNeil. Yes, as things develop, there's going to be additional traffic. There always is, but it's not going to be as much as you think, because don't forget, everybody assumes, everybody's going to go up north for whatever their shopping needs are, but they're building more stuff farther south. It just takes time. They have to have the houses first before they build the businesses, the shopping centers, if you will, the grocery stores. As I've said many times, if you build it, they will come is a failure for a business plan. You got to have the people there first before the businesses come there. That's why Magnolia Plaza took so long to come out of the ground. There wasn't as many houses there as people thought there was, and it's just a matter of getting enough businesses there, or enough residents there to make sure the businesses are viable. Okay, so that was the last one I got. I got a handful of comments about water and last week's conversation. So one of them really was good. He says, this is from Michael Sidwell, 8066 is his name on YouTube. He says, my water bill was over $200 also. Water 3 days a week, but I have 0.8 acres and 98 sprinkler heads in 9 zones. Yeah, 0.8 acres is pretty much 4 times the size of the average home here in the villages. So I ran some quick calculations. A typical lot for a designer home in the villages is about 10,000 square feet. If we assume a 2,000 square foot home, that's 2,000 square foot conditioned space. Now you got to add in the garage, the driveway, and the lanai and the front porch and then the sidewalk. And let's just call it 4,000 square feet, or about 40% of the area will be impervious. If you look at that, that's 6,000 square feet of, let's call it grass, for lack of better terms, to water. A $200 water bill, I said, was about 36,500 gallons. Doing some quick math, that works out to be about 10 inches of water on that yard. Every square inch would be a column of water, 10 inches over a month period. Way too much water. Put it in a different way, that's an average. That's 4 of the average size swimming pools here in the villages to have that much water. So that means you're putting a swimming pool of water on your yard every week. Holy mackerel. You're overwatering, especially during the summer months with all the rain that we get. Do I doubt? I don't doubt that there's people that are having, some high water bills. Especially some of these premier homes. Oh my gosh. If you go out to Conservation Trail, they have some massive lots, some really big lots. And if you're going to water it twice a week, which is what they say, 15 minutes twice a week, you want to put about a half an inch of water on there. It's going to take a lot of water. And to get, $200 water bill would not be unrealistic. So there was a couple of comments about wanting to use the retention pond water to water the yards. So again, it's a matter of how do you control it? Because when they're using the water to lower the ponds in the common areas and the golf courses, they have direct control over how much water is going out. They can monitor the pond levels and they can control it. Okay, so let's say that takes a week. Okay, if you're doing it with the sprinkler system, how do you make that determination? If you want to say, well, I'm just not going to charge you for a week. That means you got to go out and read those meters after a week so you know how much not to charge people. The logistics of it, to do it without adding additional infrastructure is cost prohibitive. It's not feasible at this point. What are you going to do? You're going to go a whole month? You'll drain the retention ponds dry if you do that. People will say, wow, they're not charging me for water this month. I'm going to water my yard 4 or 5 times a day and, every day of the week. And, we will have some severe water problems. It's not feasible, especially in a community this size. Anyway, enough of that. I'm tired of talking about water. They're all wet anyway. Man. So let's see. We got any more questions here? Let's see. Muskie says, my opinion about non-villagers using pool and other amenities. If you see someone that is not a villager or think is a villager or isn't a villager, contact Community Watch or the rec center staff at the amenity. That is the correct answer. Victoria says, if you don't get chosen for your first 3 choices in the automated lottery, are you allowed to go with a 4th, 5th, or 6th choice? No, they only allow you to put in, 1 choice. Now, let's say you got a bunch of properties, and let's say that on one property, 10 people put in for it as their 3rd choice. But those same 10 people get chosen for maybe their 1st or 2nd choice. So as they get chosen for their 1st choice, they get pulled out of the 3rd choice pool. Pretty soon that 3rd choice pool gets very small, and it's empty. So it's not unforeseeable to have a house that had a lottery not have any winners. And at that point, maybe your realtor can say, hey, this one opened up. Are you interested? Sometimes they have some get relisted. You've got, I think, 3 hours that once you're notified to make a deposit, and then you've got a week or whatever it is. I got my notes on an upcoming video about how long you have to get your 10 or 20% down. So it's not unforeseeable that you could end up getting a 4th, 5th, or 6th choice if something like that happens. So there you go. It's a system that they've had to go to just to be fair. So one other thing I want to talk about, let me find my list. Make sure I got here. And we talked about Murphy. Man, I'll tell you what. I hope I don't go through another headache building a video like I did this past 10 days with all of it. One of the things I'm looking at doing, now I have the ability to take what I'm doing right now, on the road, if you will. So I'm considering doing a live broadcast from one of the rec centers and having a few residents as guests. So if you'd like to be one of those guests, let me know. Send me an email at live@goldwingnut.com. Let me know you'd like to be a guest and ask some questions. And this is something I'm thinking about doing in about 2 weeks. I'm working through my equipment configuration right now. I just got a new Mac laptop. I bought a MacBook Pro 14-inch with the M3 Pro processor in it. It's a sweet machine. And I've got some extra hardware that I've used with it, and it seems to be working very well. So we're going to try that. Let's see, we got a couple more things coming in, and then we're going to have to call it quits here because, like I said, I got a hard stop at 4:30. I got to take Loki to his new house. Bill asks, Don, how does the USPS keep up with the amount of homes and building going on? Does the villages employ people to work at the postal stations to keep them, to help them with the mail distribution? No, the villages does not hire them. That is the post office responsibility. But they have plenty of lead time to know when their homes are going to go up for sale and when they're going to need to start delivering mail. Kathy and Frank, oh boy, let's go with this one. Kathy and Frank ask, I hear that some people want striped lines on the multimodal paths. Yes. That has been around for several years. When I was on Project Wide Advisory Committee, oh my gosh, it's been what now? 5 years ago we were talking about this. We wanted to stripe all the multimodal paths. Personally, I think it's the right idea. It helps. People understand what the stripes mean. It helps control it. if it's a broken line, they know they can go across it to go around people walking in that. Of course, you have people in a hurry, so there is that. Some of the comments I heard at the meetings a few years ago was, well, they're slippery, I'll trip over it. Why are you walking in the middle of the multimodal path? Shouldn't you be walking on the side? You know, there were some things, but anyway, you know, it's something that some of the districts are looking at. The big thing is we need consistency throughout the community. Up in District 4, and there's some other places around the community that do have the striping on the multimodal paths. Again, I like it. I think it's a good idea, but without consistency, it becomes confusing to people. And you know, that's a big part of being a community. Is part of it is just being consistent. So anyway, folks, with that, I'm gonna. Oh, one last thing. Video 150 is coming out Monday, October 14th. We're going to be doing a fundraiser, and that's to raise money for the VPSD Thanksgiving dinner. We use that to buy some of the supplies we might need, like sodas and things like that. Many people make food for the firefighters and all that, but a little bit of cash doesn't hurt, and any extra that we have, we turn over to the firefighters' assistance fund that they have, so that they can help their own. Last year, I think, if I recall right, it was like $3,600 we turned over. It was quite a check. It was a great thing. Definitely like to top that this year. So if you're interested in helping out, whether it be Thanksgiving dinner, being a coordinator, which is really important. We need a coordinator for each of the fire stations so that they coordinate the food going there and the delivery. I can't do it all. I started with Station 45 about 9 years ago, and now we're doing all 10 or 11 fire stations here in the villages, so it does take quite a bit of work. I'm also going to need some help with organizing and running the fundraiser, so if you're interested in that, drop me a line at thanksgiving@goldwingnut.com or any of the other email addresses, don@goldwingnut, live@goldwingnut, whatever. Just let me know. With that, I'm going to call it a day, and we're going to sign off. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in. It's always great to do this, and I appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, enjoy life. You know, don't sit around watching YouTube. Go out and have a good time. Have some fun. You know, we don't know what tomorrow brings, so let's make the best of today. Thanks again. I'll see you guys later. As many of you may know, each year I coordinate providing Thanksgiving dinner for all the fire stations here in the villages. This year is no exception. This year, however, we're going to be doing a fundraiser on October 14th. The location is still being finalized, but the date is set. If you're interested in helping out with the fundraising event or with being a coordinator for one of the fire stations, please go to my website, goldwingnut.com/Thanksgiving, and fill out the form there, or send me a quick email to thanksgiving@goldwingnut.com. Let's make this the best Thanksgiving ever for our firefighters.